Somewhere in a limestone cave on the island of Sulawesi, a woman presses her left hand flat against a wall. She holds a hollow reed in her mouth. She fills her cheeks with red ochre mixed with animal fat and spit. She blows. When she pulls her hand away, the wall keeps the shape of it. She is not the first person to do this. She will not be the last. The stencil she leaves behind is 45,500 years old. And on the other side of the planet, in caves she could never have reached, strangers are doing the exact same thing. This may be the oldest viral trend in human history. 45,000 years before the internet, before writing, before farming, before dogs, humans were already copying each other. Same gesture, same pigment, same hand, on 6 different continents, made by people who never met. Somebody started it. And the strangest question in archaeology is who? Archaeologists call them hand stencils. The technique is identical everywhere it shows up. Press your palm to rock, spray pigment around it, leave the negative shape. You have probably made one yourself as a child with paint and construction paper. Your kindergarten teacher was replicating a 45,000-year-old gesture and did not know it. For a long time, the story was simple. Europe invented it. The oldest known hand stencils were in Spain and France. Chauvet, Lascaux, El Castillo, Ice Age Europeans, Cro-Magnon, cave painters. The textbook line was clean. Europe was the cradle. Asia and Australia inherited the idea, tens of thousands of years later, through slow migration out of the West. That was the answer for 100 years. Then, in 2014, a geochemist named Maxime Aubert flies to Sulawesi with uranium-thorium dating equipment. He is testing a hand stencil in a cave called Leang Timpuseng. Everybody assumes the art there is young. Maybe 10,000 years. That is what the textbooks say. Aubert scrapes a tiny sample of the mineral crust that has grown over the stencil across the centuries. He runs the numbers. He runs them again. 39,900 years. That is not the textbook. That is older than most of the European art. He does not publish immediately. He goes back. He tests more caves. 2019. A hunting scene on the same island, 43,900 years old. 2021. A life-sized painting of a warty pig in Leang Tedonge with 2 hand stencils beside it, 45,500 years old. The oldest figurative art in the world is not in France. It is 8,000 miles away, which flips the story. If Asia is older, then Asia did not inherit the gesture from Europe. Europe may have inherited it from Asia, except that story breaks too. Because for Asia to have taught Europe, the gesture would need a route, a chain of teachers stretching across 2 continents over thousands of miles through populations who were not yet in contact. There is no such chain. The dates are too close. The distances are too big. The people on the 2 ends of the earth were doing the same thing at roughly the same time, and they cannot have taught each other. Which means 2 separate populations of humans on opposite ends of the planet invented the exact same gesture, independently, around the same window in time. Or they both inherited it from somebody older that we have not found yet. Who copied whom? Now put yourself in the cave. You are holding a hollow reed. Your mouth is full of red ochre and animal fat, and it tastes like iron and blood. The wall in front of you is cold. Someone you love did this last month. Someone their mother loved did this before them. You press your palm flat. You blow. You pull your hand away, and the wall has swallowed the shape of you. You are not signing your name. You do not have a name in the sense you would recognize. You are doing what the person before you did, because they did it, because the one before them did it. Now go to the Patagonian steppe of Argentina, to a place called Cueva de las Manos, the Cave of the Hands. More than 800 stencils layered across a single rock face, added across roughly 9,000 years. Generations of strangers pressing their palms to a wall their great-great-great-grandparents had already covered. Most of the hands are left hands, which means most of the people were right-handed, holding the reed with the dominant hand and spraying the other, just like you would. 9,000 years. Same wall, same gesture. Every person in that chain was copying strangers who had died before they were born, which is when the who copied whom question stops making sense. Because the answer is, everyone did. The gesture didn't spread from one culture to another. The gesture is what culture is. The chain itself is the artifact. The first meme was not an image. It was the impulse to repeat one. Think about what that means for a moment. Nobody invents fire every generation from scratch. Nobody reinvents the spear. Nobody reinvents the word for water, the shape of a bowl, the way you hold a baby, the way you tie a knot. Every single thing you know how to do, you inherited from somebody who inherited it from somebody who inherited it from somebody who probably did not know why they were doing it either. Civilization is not the sum of what humans invented. Civilization is the sum of what humans copied without questioning. Imagine if every child had to rediscover fire alone, or reinvent language before speaking. Civilization would never accumulate. Copying is what lets knowledge survive longer than the people who discovered it. The species runs on a compulsion older than speech, the compulsion to watch a stranger and copy them and pass it on. The handprints are the oldest visible proof of that machinery, but the machinery is the reason there is anything to see. And you are running that machinery every hour of your life. The way you laugh. Somebody taught you that. The way you hold your phone. Somebody taught you that. The words you reach for when you are tired, literally, honestly, bro, whatever, you did not choose those. You caught them. From a stranger, in a video, from a coworker, from a friend who caught it from a stranger. Watch yourself in a mirror during a conversation. The way you tilt your head, the way you raise an eyebrow, the little gestures you make when you are about to say something clever. Every one of those was assembled from strangers you no longer remember watching, even the voice you hear inside your own head as you read this line, the rhythm of it, the accent of it, the tone your inner thoughts speak in, you inherited that too. Somebody taught you the sound of your own thinking. By the time you notice you have copied someone, your brain has already finished the job. The deeper story may not be who invented the gesture in that cave in Sulawesi. It may be that humans were already built to inherit gestures, long before any of us thought to leave one behind, which returns us to a question we have not actually asked yet. Imagine the very first person to press a hand to a cave wall, the very first one. Before it was a tradition, before it was a meme, just a human being, in the dark, with pigment in their mouth, doing something nobody had ever done before. We will never know who they were. We will never know what they were thinking. But here's the strange thing. That first person is not the remarkable one. The remarkable ones are the thousands of people who saw it, or heard about it, or saw a copy of a copy of a copy of it, and decided, for reasons none of them could explain, that they had to do it too. For 45,000 years, the invention takes a moment. The inheritance takes a species. We keep asking who invented culture, but culture is the thing that invents us. 45,000 years ago, someone pressed a hand against a cave wall. They disappeared. Their language disappeared. Their name disappeared. Even the meaning of the gesture disappeared. But the gesture itself didn't. It survived by jumping from one human mind to another. Long before writing, long before history, long before anyone had a word for culture. That may be the oldest inheritance our species has ever shared.